This segment we call the Bibliophile segment for obvious reasons. We talk about books, Leon Bibb does. Well, I'm speaking today with Kathleen Crowther about this book. It is The Making of Cleveland's Black Suburb in the City, Lisaville and Lee Harvard on the southeast side of Cleveland. Good to have you with us, Kathleen Crowther, president of the Cleveland Restoration Society.
Thank you.
Yeah. Refresh us. Tell us what the Cleveland Restoration Society does.
We're a local and regional historic preservation organization. We have a number of excellent programs. Our best known program is probably our Heritage Home Program, where we help owners of older and historic homes keep them in good repair.
Well, your organization decided to take a look at suburban areas on the southeast side, specifically the Lisaville and the Lee Harvard areas on the southeast side of Cleveland. The major intersections, if memory serves me correct, Harvard Avenue and Lee Road, right in that general area. Absolutely. Why did you decide to take a look, the making of Cleveland Black Suburb?
Yeah. Well, it was time for us to look at areas that could be listed in the National Register of Historic Places. You know, identifying historic districts and places of historic significance, that's our job. Local people have to do that. Nobody comes from down above at the National Register to do that. So we began to investigate Lee Harvard and Lisaville because it has definitely met the age requirement, and it's got so much cohesiveness from an architectural viewpoint.
Yeah.
It really looks like a suburb, and yet it's in the city of Cleveland.
It was very much a suburban feel. As I've said many times, thousands of times in Greater Cleveland, I grew up in the Glenville neighborhood, but when I was in college, my mother and father moved to Lee Harvard. So when I was 19 years old, I moved to Lee Harvard, although I was going to Bowling Green State University. And they found green pastures in Glenville, and they found green pastures in Lee Harvard.
Yeah.
Is there a story, the same story that many other people have? It's
a common story, and I would say that you are the product of their success in Lee Harvard. There was African-American residency in Lisaville as early as the 1920s, and when the area was Miles Heights.
Yes.
And there was a little section called the Village, south of Miles. So this provided the toehold for African-American families who were residing in Glenville, in the case of your family, and in Cedar Central, and wanted a little more elbow room, you know, the tree canopy of suburban life, and were not always able to get to where they wanted to, and yet Lee Harvard and Lisaville became available to them.
Well, I will tell the audience that the Making of Cleveland's Black Suburb in the City, Lisaville and Lee Harvard, wonderful, wonderful book. I've not read it all, but I've glanced through it, filled with great photographs, which kind of tell the story of the people who lived in this community. Yeah. They were looking for qualities of life, weren't they? And still are in this area.
Seeking the American dream like everybody else. And they were really able to create a community of their own in this area. One of the most exciting things for me about the book is that we discovered south of Miles a number of African-American builders were able to carve out a niche and build up that section of the neighborhood.
So this is the growth of a city. This is the continuing growth of a city. Yeah. And many of the people, like my parents' generation, they were part of that great migration from the American Southland. Yep. And my folks came in the 1940s to Cleveland, but they were part of that great migration of people coming to the city. Yes. This is part of Cleveland history.
Absolutely. The builders that we profile here, a number of them came from the South. They came during the Great Migration with building skills and were able to circumvent really systemic racism in the area of land development, buying supplies for their building companies, and then building houses and hopefully selling houses. By having those building skills and by using a great deal of creativity.
Yeah. You've got a chapter in here called Black Builder Entrepreneurs Fulfilling the Dream South of Miles. That's what you were talking about there.
Yep.
And there's photographs there. I can't show them too well right here on the way when my hand is in the way.
Yeah.
But this is filled with photographs. What else does the Cleveland Restoration Society look to tell? What other stories are you looking to tell?
Well, we are excited. We are going to be embarking upon a project to create a African-American civil rights trail in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. We recently received a grant from the National Park Service, and what we're going to do is select the top 10 sites. We're working with a committee. Natoya Walker-Minor is chair of our committee. We're just now composing it. And we will be interacting with scholars on the field, scholars locally and further afield, to select what we think are the most important sites associated with the African American civil rights movement.
In our final few seconds, where can we find this book?
It's available at the Cleveland Public Library gift store, and Apple Tree Books, Harvard Community Services Center, and Lee Road Baptist Church.
Okay. Lee Road Baptist Church, right there at Lee Road and Stockbridge, or Biltmore, right at that intersection. Had an aunt and uncle who went to that church as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to have you with us, Kathleen Crowther. She's president of the Cleveland Restoration Society. For more information and a list of locations where the book is sold, as we were just giving you, call 216-426-1000 or visit clevelandrestoration.org. And Kathleen, many thanks for being on the broadcast.
Thank you.